To the Prime Minister of Japan, although you are more than 8,500 kilometers away from the Islamic State, you willingly have volunteered to take part in this crusade. You have proudly donated 100 million to kill our women and children, to destroy the homes of the Muslims. So the life of this Japanese citizen will cost you 100 million. And in an attempt to stop the expansion of the Islamic State, you also donated another 100 million to train the Murtadeen against the Mujahideen. And so the life of this Japanese citizen will cost you another 100 million.
Well, that's video of the latest hostage situation involving the Japanese, and now they're asking for money, ransom money of $200 million, as you just heard from that. In the meantime, as I say, ISIS executed 13 teenagers for watching a soccer game, if you can believe it. Joining us is Alessandro Bruno. He's a VP MEA Risk. And Alessandro, you and I have talked about the risk of radical Muslim for a long time. Is it taking a turn here?
Well, I've never heard of the things that these people are doing, even by the worst standards. They're reaching new levels of atrocity. In Somalia, during the World Cup in 2006, something of an equivalent of the Islamic State, the Shabab, who are still around, banned people from watching soccer games, but they didn't go as far as executing them. So these guys have gone one notch above. I don't have words. It's absolutely appalling. There are all kinds of other stories if you read online about what ISIS is doing to the area, and you can imagine this is what they're doing to locals. You can imagine, what they would do to foreigners.
Yeah, like those Japanese, and I
Yes.
think we don't need to imagine. I think I know what's going to happen. But how does watching a soccer game violate Sharia law?
Well, ISIS is actually professing an extreme version of the Islam practiced in Saudi Arabia. The technical term is Salafi, which comes from the Arabic root. So they're going back to the roots, and a particularly strict reading of the Quran, which is Wahhabi. We won't get into the origins, it's too long, but let's just say it's the most extreme reading of the Quran, absolutely literal. And the Quran has many contradicting passages. It'll have a very peaceful tone on one thing, and then on the same subject in a later period, which is actually at the beginning of the book, will be much harsher. There are lots of contradicting statements. And the Wahhabis, and particularly the ISIS reading of the Quran, it tends to enjoys picking all the extreme versions, the negative extremes.
And the most violent portions of it.
Yes, and so for them, watching a soccer game or doing anything to entertain the mind is a distraction away from thinking about God. And it's blasphemy, because particularly being a fan of a team, you're only supposed to be a fan of God. Everything else doesn't matter. And that's, I think, the logic that they're using.
Okay, now it goes against some of the movements. We've had a UK minister, for instance, request that all the imams preach peace in their mosque. Then you have this hashtag that's trending around the world, which is "We love Prophet Muhammad," that talks about he's the one who taught us not to kill innocent people or to judge them by their looks, religion, and race. So these are people that are starting to get negative feedback from the Muslim community. Is it going to be enough?
Well, I mean, ISIS represents an extremely small minority I mean, by and large, I've lived in Muslim countries. I've traveled in them. I had no problems. So this is an extreme form. It has to be stressed. These people are not mainstream in any way, and there are various schools, and even in Orthodox, by Orthodox I mean regular Islam, not ISIS. There are 4 different schools of thought, and the Hanbali is the most or the most extreme, let's say, but none of them practice this kind of violence. So ISIS has taken this to a complete extreme. Mind you, secular groups in the 1970s in Europe, I'm thinking of Action Directe, the Red Brigades, the Baader Meinhof Band, and the Red Army in Japan in the 70s were practicing terrorism very violently and using secular ideologies to justify killings, and had mock trials, including one of a prime minister in Italy, who was held captive. So this can go either way. Once you take any idea to the extreme, you've got trouble. And how do you stop it? The problem is that these guys have money. They're attracting all kinds of I don't know how to describe them, but a lot of these people who are showing up on ISIS videos threatening to kill people have backgrounds. They've spent time in jail. They're extremely violent, and they seem to be open to any ideology that will give them the chance to act out, I think, a violent nature already inherent within themselves.
Yeah, as we're seeing from some of the people that have shown up from the UK, perfect British English spoken by that guy that had the Japanese hostages. Alessandro, thank you so much.